A lot of people say that Pyru's was the first blood set. I don't know about that, but I do know the first blood set that I remember hearing about was the Brims. The first blood set that I remember hearing about was the Brims, the LA Brims coming out of Manual.
Okay, that's an interesting topic. You know, I got to dive into this. What makes you give them that blood title?
Okay, I just put that title on them because that's what they eventually became, but they wasn't using nobody was using the title blood at that time. It was just whatever, whatever set you was, like Chain Gang was just that. The Brims were just that. Pyru was just that. APB was that. Denver Lane was that. It wasn't, it wasn't the colors. It was no colors. It wasn't no colors flying, because even as a matter of fact, the Chain Gang, we were wearing blue jackets in the beginning. The blue bomber jackets, Air Force bomber jackets that had the fur on the collar. We used to wear those, and then of course Army jackets. And that was one thing that the differentiation between the Chain Gang and the Crips at that time was you could look and you could tell the Crip, because Crips wore the Ace Deuces, the Ace Deuce hats. They was mostly bald headed, so we used to call them bald head Crips, and they carried canes. So we more or less wore military stuff, military gear that we had got from like Western surplus.
A lot of people say they was wearing the cross earrings. Did Chain Gangs wear earrings?
The Chain Gang didn't. We didn't have earrings early on. Then later on, that was later, way years later, man. When the whole blood scene popped up, guys was like wearing two earrings, one in each ear. But the Crips, the whole Crip thing, it went from one thing to the next. It was the loop earring, and later on, just like after Tookie had got shot, and he used to wear a turban. He had this long chain earring that had like a silver ball on the bottom of it. It had to be at least about 6-7 inches long, and eventually a lot of the higher up Crips started wearing that ball and chain earring.
What more can you tell me about Tookie being shot?
I wasn't there, but from what I was told, he got shot down by Crenshaw, in front of Crenshaw High School. Some cat shot him with a .22, and tried to take him out. But he was so muscle bound, basically he was just, laying on the ground and just like pulling the bullets out. And but that only one that really did the damage was the ones that got when he shot in his head, because his head swelled up. His head swelled up real big, and that's why he started wearing that turban.
Mm. So he more than likely was fighting Van Ness Brims or some type of Brims. Did you guys assist the Brims when you guys was fighting?
We never really got into it like, okay, well, let me call the Brims up, but not all the time. We associated with them like that. We could call them if we needed them, but we never really just said, okay, well, we gonna get together and we just gonna go all do this. And with the exception of that one time, I know we all kind of got together and went over to that show that was over there on Western and Imperial, and we had a real big fight that day, and that was Denver Lane's Park Boys. That was everybody, whoever we could get, and it was it was just one of them things. We went, in other words, at that time we took it to them because for the most part the Crips was bringing it to us. So we basically got formed as a form of defense, not offense. But as time went on, that whole situation changed, and it was like we were more like on the offensive, even though we were smaller sets.
Did you know Mike Christian?
Yeah, I knew Michael Christian. He went to Morningside. So I said, all the Morningside Crips, you had Michael Christian, his brother Wayne Christian. He had an older brother, Wayne. Kenny Robinson, Big Nose Perry, Steve Slaughter, Richard Palmer, which they had labeled him like the leader of the Baby Crips. Let's see, Hilton Booker. Let's see who else was in that. Larry Price and Cody.
Cody Brown?
Yeah, Cody Brown.
Where was Cody Brown from?
Cody Brown, he lived over by Sportsman Park, but he was going to Morningside. He was hanging with the guys that you would consider the Inglewood Crips.
When did you first hear the Godfather Crips?
I didn't hear about the Godfather Crips until I had actually left LA and I went back to Chicago one summer. I did that was years later. That had to be like what, around maybe 74 maybe.
So when did you first hear Block Crip, Neighborhood Crip, and Underground?
Okay, the blocks, the neighborhoods, and the undergrounds, they all popped up at the same time, and I'm gonna say that had to be like around probably around 73, because they were all considered they were West Side Crips, and the West Side Crips that went to Washington, and they just started fractioning off into different sets.
Did you ever run across Melvin Hardy?
I never ran across him. I had heard his name, but I never ran across him.
What about Mike Concepcion and Barefoot Pookie?
Yeah, I ran into them a lot. A lot. Mike Concepcion, I remember him when he could walk, and he was he was a handful, man. He was a handful out there, It was a real funny situation that happened. I was over this girl's house one day, and dealing with her, and she had a few sisters, and then my Concepcion came over to the girl's house to visit her sister, and I didn't really know who he was, but I know the brother came in, and he was like, and they had the full length mirror in the room, and he was kind of like, standing in the mirror flexing. And I'm like, who is this dude, And so my girl was like, oh, that's my girlfriend's, my sister's boyfriend, Mike. I'm like, so I didn't pay no attention. But then later on, I found out that's who it was, But I never had any run-ins with him.
What can you tell me about Barefoot Pookie?
Pookie was pretty active, man. He was everywhere. If there was something going on, I guarantee he was in the middle of it. He was about his cripping. I know that much. I never had any run-ins with him personally. I do know guys that did, go down and fight with him, but I never did.
And so his name was coming up a lot.
Oh yeah, Pookie was around a lot, because see, like I said, Washington wasn't that far from Morningside. It was, it was within walking distance.
How about Philip McCain?
Yeah, Philip McCain. He was another Inglewood Crip. That was Big Nose Perry's brother. I believe they used to call him Shotgun McCain. And here's a story about them. When I can tell you about the coming out party of the Inglewood Crips when they first announced that they were Crips.